Yo, what up, a-holes? Thank you for tuning into the Holistic A-Hole podcast. My name is Erik Levi, and I'm the Holistic A-Hole, the mommy blogger with balls, the inconvenient truth of health. Thank you for taking a few moments out of your day and spending it with me. I hope you found this on a good note or a sad note or whatever brought you here. I'm really happy you found the podcast, and I'm going to do my best to try to make it worth your time. Because today we're going to talk about a real controversial, hard-hitting, fucking topic, and that is breakfast. Yeah, breakfast. You know breakfast. You probably do it yourself. You probably do it every day. Maybe you don't do it every day. Maybe you do it every other day. Maybe you never do it. Maybe you never do it unless you're doing brunch. Maybe you go to brunch and you're like, is this breakfast? Is this lunch? What do I order off this menu? There's a little bit of both. What if I want both on the same plate at the same goddamn time? It's Sunday. This is what I do. Wherever you're coming from with this, hopefully you can understand where I'm coming from when it comes to breakfast, because I got some issues with breakfast. I got some real serious issues with breakfast. To me, they say breakfast is the most important thing, the most important meal of the day. But I don't see it that way. I see it as the biggest mindfuck of the day. I see it as the biggest source of misinformation of the day. That's breakfast. And I'm fired up about breakfast. My deal with breakfast is this. They tell you it's the most important meal of the day. That's a lot of pressure. Do you understand that? That is a lot of pressure for a meal to be the most important meal of the day. Here in America, I don't know where you're listening to this in. You could be in America. You could be in South America. You could be in Asia. You could be in Europe. You could be wherever. But here in America, people are very passionate about their breakfast. And let's be quite frank. The best food that we have, it's all breakfast food. It's all breakfast food. So what they want you to do is they want you to understand that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, while at the same time making the food for breakfast the best food there is. Out of all the different meals, the breakfast food wins all the time. Sometimes you'll have breakfast for lunch. Sometimes you'll have breakfast for dinner. You'll never have dinner for breakfast. That's fucking atrocious. What are you going to have, lasagna for breakfast? Oh, I'd rather kill myself. But Lucky Charms at 8 o'clock at night, or an omelet with feta cheese and tomatoes and some bacon? Yeah, I could do that for dinner. But it's the most important meal of the day. So if you don't do it right, you fucked. You are just flat out screwed. Because if you do breakfast wrong, your day's done. Your day's toast. You might have had toast. Here's the ironic thing about toast. If you have toast, you're going to end up toast. So much carbs, so much gluten, especially if you do like they do in the complete breakfast videos where they put the little stick of margarine on top. You're done, son. Good luck. Good luck getting off the toilet. Have fun. The most important meal of the day. It sets the tone. It 100% does. You break the fast, right? Especially depending on what time you eat it at. Because your body's going to have a different reaction. Whether you have it first thing when you wake up, whether you have it, you fast a little bit. Some people are doing the intermittent fast. Intermittent fasters, a lot of intermittent fasters skip breakfast altogether. Doesn't fit into the intermittent fast. Unless you do some dinner fasting. Who wants to dinner fast? If breakfast is the most important meal of the day, dinner is the most exciting meal of the day. Breakfast. It's crucial, right? You've had that before, where you just had a garbage breakfast. Most of you are having garbage breakfast every single day. Every day. What is it? Breakfast on the go. Nobody eats dinner on the go. You try not to eat lunch on the go, but breakfast is the most negotiable meal to eat on the go. You're eating pastries. Some people just eat a pastry for breakfast. A pastry. Could there Could there be any bigger culprit of garbage preservative carbs, garbage processed carbs, than a breakfast pastry? Do you know something? I do here in New York City. We have a neighborhood called Soho, and I just so happen to be a tour guide because I'm not making any money from an actual profession that I want to do. So I get to be a tour guide in New York City and walk mindless tourists around parts of the city and explain them things. And one of my tours I do is in the neighborhood of Soho. And I walk by the Dominique Ansel Bakery, and the Dominique Ansel Bakery on Spring Street is, it's one of the most famous bakeries in New York. It might be one of the most famous bakeries in the world because Dominique Ansel invented the pastry, the cronut. The cronut. You know what the cronut is? The cronut is a croissant donut. That's what it is. That's what it is. And every single day, people line up outside Dominique Ansel Bakery to get a cronut. You know why they line up? Because Dominique Ansel, this French piece of shit, only makes 300 pastries, cronuts, a day. That's it. 300. Usually sells out by like 10 o'clock. That's it. So if you don't get in line, you don't get a pastry. And you look at everybody in line. Everybody in line. They're going to start their day with a cronut. A cronut, bro. The croissant donut. Have you ever seen one of these things? I mean, look, here's the best way I can kind of like describe it. It's like basically a, think about like a croissant, right? But then think of it like really big and really thick with a whole bunch of glazed jizz on top. And it tastes just like a donut, but it's got the flakiness of a croissant. That's what it is, man. You start your day with that thing. Oh, and by the way, the box, when you put it in the box, it's at least 2 pounds. You start your day with that thing. If you just crush a cronut, 8 o'clock in the morning, you're done. Your day, just, you know what? Just cancel your plans. Just get on your couch, whip up Netflix, start with Friday Night Lights, because you're not making it off the couch for at least the first 3 seasons. And those are long seasons. That's how much a cronut will fucking rock your day. And that's what people are doing. People aren't doing the cronut every day, but they're doing these just garbage pastries, you know? Think about I think about, just like walking around New York City, and they have these little food carts everywhere. And if you're not going to like Dominique Ansel, a lot of times people just zip by these little food carts, and in the morning they have, it's all just bread pastries. It's like, oh my God, bagels, muffins, bagels and muffins, man. I really feel for people who eat bagels and muffins first thing in the morning, because first of all, they're just doing insane amounts of damage to their bodies. Second of all, I know they don't want to be eating either of those things. I would say 9 times out of 10, if you're eating a muffin, you really wanted a cupcake. You really wanted a cupcake, but you knew breakfast was the most important meal of the day. So you were like, it's too early for a cupcake. It's too early. I haven't been a good boy yet. I haven't been a good boy, so I can't get a cupcake. So I'll get a muffin because I got to go to work. It's Tuesday. I'm wearing a tie. I want to get to Friday. Then I'll eat a goddamn cupcake and I'll wear a polo. Probably a Lacoste polo. But Tuesday morning, on your way to work, you're grabbing a muffin and you're not happy. You know how I know people aren't happy eating muffins? Because they only eat the muffin top. It's the only part of the muffin people eat. Nobody's eating the muffin bottoms. Nobody. I know. This is a whole Seinfeld episode. But it's true. Nobody's eating the muffin bottoms. I walk around. Crazy guy outside my windows yelling again. I wonder if you guys can hear him. I don't know if you can hear him. Oh, this guy's crazy. He just yells every day. I don't know what it is. But I walk around the city, man, and I see muffin bottoms. Muffin bottoms. I'll see people leave muffin bottoms on the sides of trash cans, like, I guess, for homeless people. And you know what's funny? Homeless people aren't taking the muffin bottom. That's insulting. They're like, you leave me a goddamn muffin bottom? What makes you think I want a muffin bottom? I got bigger things to worry about. I don't want no goddamn muffin bottom. I want the full muffin top. You know? Just leave just leave nickels or quarters or something on the sides of trash cans. Don't leave a fucking muffin bottom. That's insulting. So yeah, so people are eating the muffins and they want to be eating a cupcake, but instead, the compromise, it doesn't work anyways because you're just eating, just refined, processed carbs. That's just getting turned into glucose, spiking your insulin, and then dropping your insulin, and then you're just in a, stressed out cortisol nightmare. Especially, before we get there, you also got the guys with the bagels. Bagels are great, but we're really fooling ourselves with bagels. I know people get bagels and a lot of people think in a way, they're like, there can't be anything wrong with it. It's a bagel. Come on. It's not a donut, because you want to be eating a donut and you're like, I'll eat a bagel instead. You know what I'll do? It's Monday. I got to start the week off right. Can't go too hard, Friday, I'll eat the donuts. Friday, I'll eat a goddamn birthday cake first thing in the morning. Monday, bagel. It's responsible. You know what? We'll go everything bagel with veggie cream cheese. Can't be no healthier option than that right there. That's what people are doing. This is how they're fooling themselves, And God damn it, I love bagels. I'm a Jew. I love them. You can get mad at the stereotype. I embrace it. You're right. I like bagels. What do you want me to say? Who doesn't? They're amazing, but they also just destroy your body. So I avoid them for the most part. I can't even remember the last time I had a bagel. But then, you eat a bagel, a muffin, you're like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm doing something good for myself. And then you go through the insulin roller coaster, you got the insulin spike, you're feeling good, everything's working. And then you got the blood sugar drop. The insulin comes in, just cleans up all the blood sugar that's up in your blood, sweeps it all up, actually does too good of a job, sweeps it all up, and then you got no more blood sugar, and then you just go into a full-on roller coaster crash. So you eat a muffin or a bagel at 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock, you want to die. So what do? You go for a cup of coffee. Yes, people are drinking so much goddamn coffee. And what happens is you go to the next level of the cortisol, or what we want to call it, like the blood sugar roller coaster, right? Because the coffee, the caffeine, the caffeine goes in and just dumps all the glycogen out of your liver, out of your muscles, gets converted back into glucose. Boom, now you got blood sugar again. Now you're feeling good. You're feeling on top of the world. But then what happens? Now your cortisol's coming in and it's helping to get rid of the blood sugar. So now you got stress hormone going through, and then you wonder why come your 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock meeting, you're fucking yelling at everybody. You're sitting there, the conference call, the conference call phone isn't working right. You're an assistant manager. You're supposed to be the one who goes in there and sets up the conference call equipment before the 10 o'clock conference call. Nobody can communicate into the speaker. We can hear the voice coming out of the speaker, but we can't actually communicate into the speaker because the input output was all messed up. You did that because your brain was so fogged from all of the, let's say sugar and processed carbs and preservatives. Your gut lining just opened up and all the proteins and stuff goes into your blood. Now you got leaky gut. It's going back up through your vagus nerve into your brain. Everything's just going haywire. Not to mention, so that's why you didn't set the shit up right. Now it's all going haywire. Everyone's yelling. Why can't we can't talk into the phone? Somebody's like, okay, so we're going to turn the page to 30. I really hope you guys are on the other line. We are on the other line, but Becky didn't set the shit up right. And Becky's like fucking throwing papers at the wall. She's got cords wrapped around her head. Nobody's helping her out. Some dude's over there on his Snapchat. Some guy's on his Tinder trying to set up a date for the night. Nobody's helping poor Becky out. She's stressed out. Her blood sugar's crashing faster than a Air India airline. I don't even know what that means. But you know what I'm talking about here, okay? So man, we went on a real big tangent there, but this is how you can just absolutely ruin the quote-unquote most important meal of the day. That's just a very small example. I'm sure it's probably a common example. I'm sure most of you guys have just wretched breakfasts, you know? The one thing is I'm trying to figure out my breakfast right now, and I want to mix it up. I'm trying to find new things, and I just get nervous about it. I get nervous about trying new breakfasts. I get nervous about it because it is the most important meal of the day, right? So what if I'm like, well, maybe, because I haven't done this in a while, but just like had like a breakfast, just like a bacon and eggs breakfast, because I'm not vegan anymore. So what about just like a straight up bacon and eggs breakfast? And it's a heck of a changeover from my green smoothie that I have every day. And it makes me worried, It starts sending the cortisol out of my adrenal glands and really stresses me out to think about, like, what if I fuck up the bacon and eggs breakfast and then the rest of my day is just screwed, What happens? What am I going to do? You know what that is? That's anxiety. So I'm thinking about all these breakfasts, and then it was just so much easier when I was younger and I could just have a bowl of cereal and it was okay. You know what I mean? Some of you might still do that. I haven't had a bowl of cereal in years. Like when I started learning about health, and then my next move was to start really like reading labels. Like when I read labels, I never read past the bottom part where they talk the protein, you know what I mean? Like at the top, it's like the fat, then it goes down and it's like the sodium, and then the carbohydrates, the sugar. There's like what else is there? There's something else other than protein, maybe fiber. Maybe there's like iron or something, and then protein. And then there's like the list of all the chemicals. And for like the first, 30 years of my life, I was like, who cares about the chemicals? It just never occurred to me. that list is even more important than the nutrition facts with all the numbers. No, I got to know that there's, 8 different kinds of soybean in this, mixed with, 4 different coloring agents, mixed with, xanthan gum. I don't even know what xanthan gum is. There's not one ingredient in this thing that I can even read because it's just straight up chemicals. Like, I did not get a chemistry degree. I barely passed my English classes, let alone understanding chemicals. What a chemical is, they just put it there. The companies will list the chemicals on the sides of the boxes and all the things they put into the cereal. But this is how they know how dumb we are. Because they're like, dude, people are so stupid. Just put the chemicals on the side of the box. They won't know. They won't know. We don't know what any of that stuff is. We don't know. The guy is just going crazy right now. I think he's slamming a table against the floor. This is like the mystery of my neighborhood. There's just a dude who yells. He replaced another dude who yelled, who I actually was worried about. But this guy just yells like crazy. I have no idea where it even comes from. It's just, it might be in my head. I don't know. But yeah, that's how cocky, the food companies are. They're like, we could put literally one of the ingredients is rat poison. They could just put that on the side of the box, and if they put like the chemical name for rat poison, whatever that is, if they just put that on the side of the box, they know we can't read it. They know we don't. That's how stupid. They even hide it. It's just like right there in plain sight. You should look at the side of a box of cereal and be like, maltodextrose, That can't be good for me. That's what you should say. What is that shit? If it ends with an ace, it's not good for you, man. Stay away from it. I think, right? Ace is the enzymes. Dextrose, if it ends with an ose, that means it's like a really processed sugar. Don't touch that shit. Fructose, galactose, milktose, lactose, dextrose, all that stuff. Don't touch that stuff. But that's what all those chemicals are. They know we don't know what it is. They just put it out there in the open. You know, they're like, yeah, it's got 14 grams of protein, so it's good. Oh yeah, what about that laundry list of chemicals that are also in there? Is that good? Well, is Kellogg still a $1 billion company? You better believe your ass it is. Jesus Christ. I think this guy who's yelling is just hopped up on cereal preservative chemicals. He won't shut the fuck up. The whole reason I wanted to do this podcast, by the way, I went off on like a really long tangent I didn't plan on going on. But the whole reason I wanted to do this podcast was because I was watching television recently and I saw a commercial for cereal. Like I said, if you're a regular listener to this podcast, you know the Holistic A-Hole does not have a television. I'm one of those douchebags. But anytime I watch TV now, I get super into it. I love garbage TV now. More than anything, I love garbage TV commercials. They're just so corny to me. And they still have cereal commercials out there. And they're so twisted, man. They're so twisted. The characters are like way more intense and like definitive. You know, I think Toucan Sam has abs and pecs and shit now. You know, Tony the Tiger, he's like a fucking porn star. They've got like a little dick line for him, you know, in the underwear, whatever he wears. Count Chocula is like, you know, definitely on Grindr, I'd say. I'll just throw it out there. I'm gonna just bet Count Chocula just completely sexualized now, probably on Grindr. But they have these cereal commercials, and in the cereal commercial, they still tell you that the cereal is a part of a complete breakfast. That like the complete breakfast, they're still trying to push the complete breakfast. Like to me, that's crazy. I remember when I was a kid. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. I was a kid for a long time, and they would always have these cereal commercials, and they would tell you it's like part of a complete breakfast. And I would look at all that food, even when I was like young, like I was a kid. I was like, who eats that massive breakfast? You know, none of that. I mean, if I'm eating the cereal, that's it. It's just the cereal. I'm not adding in eggs, bacon, sausage, toast with margarine, a bagel, a bowl of berries, fucking orange juice, milk, and coffee. Really? Who's doing that? Why would you do that to yourself? Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And you're like, no, man, this is Thanksgiving dinner right here. I never knew who ate that breakfast. I ate that breakfast at like in Vegas, 6 a.m. Just a night full of walking up and down the strip, button shirt, unbuttoned except for the one button across my nipple line. I was getting the free breakfast at the Luxor. Even if it was $20, I was like 500 in the hole. I was like, fuck it, I'm getting this breakfast, and I'm just going to eat a pile of shit that I never eat. Just hate eating. That's what breakfast buffets in Vegas are. Hate eating, emotional eating. But I'm like, who eats this? Who eats this breakfast? Like, if you ate that breakfast, if you ate that full, complete breakfast, I mean, forget it. You know, we were talking about, you know, with the bagel and the muffins, you know, the crash you're going to get from that. If you eat that full, complete breakfast, you're getting a crash and you're getting just real bad stomach issues. Ugh, you know, I can't believe they still do that. I can't believe they still market cereal. I mean, it's like the whole cereal thing to me is real interesting because when they first started marketing cereals, like in the 1930s, 1940s, whatever it was, if you see the commercials, you notice they marketed to adults. They marketed to moms. It was all about getting the moms to buy the cereal. right? They would even have stuff where they were like lines where they would be like, be sure to wink at the cashier at the store so he knows that you're a good mother. That was back when they used to have all those commercials and those ads where it was like, make sure the house is clean when your husband comes home so he doesn't beat you. Like all those like 1950s Norman Rockwell painting commercials and ads. It was just all about making sure women didn't get out of line. And for a long time, they didn't. Those commercials really had an effect. And it was the same thing with the cereal commercials. They'd be like, make sure you go to the store and you wink at the cashier so he doesn't beat the crap out of you. And, finally, they're like, this isn't working so well with the moms. I mean, the moms like it, but we got to start marketing to the kids. And then that's when cereal marketing really took off. When they started coming out with all the characters. That's when the Toucan Sam and the Captain Crunch and Tony the Tiger and all these cereals just became all about getting it to the kids, right? And still to this day, that's who it's marketed to. And there's legislation with the soda industry where they say that the sodas are not allowed to directly market to kids, like cigarettes. Remember they used to just market cigarettes to kids? Who's the Camel? Joe Camel. The whole point of Joe Camel was so that kids could get into Joe Camel and then want to smoke cigarettes. Same thing with the sugar industry. Same thing with the cola industry. They realized that the sodas were becoming a little too predatory, trying to get kids to drink more soda, and they've made all of these ties between soda and childhood obesity. So they were like, all right, kids, or all right, soda companies, we got to knock that shit off. Stop it with that. You can't market to kids, but you can market to 12-year-olds and older. And then how do you define what a 12-year-old's into that an 11-year-old is not, or a 10-year-old is not? You're telling me a 9-year-old isn't thinking the same things that a 12-year-old kid are cool? Same things. They both think they're cool. I mean, of course, a 9-year-old, all they want to do is be like their older brothers, be like the older kids. If the older kids are like, yeah, man, I eat goddamn kicks every day. Kids are going to be like, I want kicks, man. It's the same shit. It's so predatory and it's so gross. And when the kids eat these cereals because they had begged their parents in the stores to eat the cereals, and the parents, they just want to be on Instagram while they're in the store. They don't want to actually pay attention to their kids. So, the kid starts yelling about, Cocoa Puffs. Mom has no choice but to get the Cocoa Puffs. Because if she doesn't, the kid's not going to shut up. And the kid won't shut up because he saw the commercials for Cocoa Puffs. And he was like, those look awesome. And then they're in the store, they're like, I want Cocoa Puffs. And mom's, flicking through Instagram stories, or she's trying to make her own Instagram story, and she's like, God damn it. She throws the Cocoa Puffs in the cart, kids start eating the Cocoa Puffs. Cocoa Puffs ain't just Cocoa Puffs. Cocoa Puffs is a long list of chemicals, and that's going in your kid. That's how the whole game is fucked. So, I don't know, man. I just kind of wanted to just rant about breakfast. I don't really know what we accomplished on this podcast today, but I wanted to talk about breakfast. It's been on my mind a lot. I'm making some changes to my breakfast, so I just wanted to think about, like what is a complete breakfast? What does that even mean? Why is breakfast the most important meal of the day? Like what is this? What is this pressure we put ourselves under to have a great breakfast? And you know what? We just squander it away every day. So many people just fucking up their breakfast. So if you're one of these people who you can't get your breakfast game together, or maybe you're starting to slowly make connections that maybe your dietary choices of things to eat for breakfast are kind of having a noticeable effect on you throughout your day. You have sugar crashes, you're gaining weight, you're irritable, you're tired, your hair is crusty, your nails are, break easily, your skin's dry, whatever it is. Definitely look into mixing up your breakfast a little bit. I'd say probably the most important thing to get during breakfast is definitely good fats and good protein. Do everything you can to stay away from the sugar. at breakfast time, simply because that's when your cortisol is jacked up. That's when your adrenal glands are making your stress hormone, because evolutionarily, that's when we woke up in the day. So your body's that's basically your body's internal alarm clock. And if you're taking in, just insane amounts of sugar first thing in the morning, what your body's doing is it's taking the sugar and it's storing it as fat, because that's the evolutionary response to cortisol. It's the emergency. It's the emergency system of the body. So if your body senses it's stressed, cortisol's up. Cortisol's up first thing in the morning, because first thing in the morning, when you were a caveman millions of years ago, that's when you had to get up and start running from tigers. So that's what the body's trained to do. And in the meantime, it's going to take all of the nutrients in your body, specifically the sugar and the glucose, and it's going to store it as fat immediately, and it's going to put it in all the places that you don't want it. It's going to put it right there on your gut, on your chin, under your arms. It's going to give you nasty ass fat. It's just not good. So just avoid sugar the most you can. I know, you want a piece of fruit or something in the morning. I'm not going to tell you not to do that, but if you want a good substantial breakfast, protein and fat, good fat, not shit fat, good fat, grass-fed butter, coconut oil, avocado, whatever your jam is. I always tell people lentils. Lentils are good because a lot of protein. Look, I'm not going to just start not saying eggs, but, eggs are probably good. And forever I've done, protein shakes, right? If you can make a smoothie or something, that's good too. So hopefully now there was something that you can take away from this podcast, which is some tips on things to do with your breakfast. There'll definitely be a part 2 on this, because I didn't cover anything that I wanted to talk about in this podcast. But hey, that's what we do. Sometimes we just go with the flow, and that's how the Holistic A-Hole rolls. So if you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you head on over to my Facebook page, friend me, or like the page, Holistic A-Hole. Also, go join the group, Holistic A-Holes. It's a new group that I made on Facebook, where we're getting everybody together and we're going to share information. This is where, if you've got weight loss, progress, or you want tips on how to get healthy, or you got, before and after pictures, you got questions about health, or, whatever it is, you can put it there in the Holistic A-Holes group. I'm trying to build a little community here and see if we all kind of can work together to help each other out. So go over to the Holistic A-Holes on Facebook. Also find me on Instagram, Holistic A-Hole, Twitter, Holistic A-Hole. Most importantly, go to YouTube, Holistic A-Hole page, where there's going to be a lot of new content coming there very shortly. And if you enjoyed the episode, subscribe, leave a 5-star review on iTunes. I always appreciate that. And if you enjoyed the podcast, share it with those you love. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Have a great afternoon or morning or night or whatever. Take care. Peace.